All right, guys, welcome back to the peak, where tonight the shadows are going to talk back. We're climbing to the road straight to the Dark Angel with the free spirited phantom himself, Tobias Amari. From new tracks like Nights Like These to Legacy, we're going to be peeling back the layers from this chosen individual, from his outlook on the music to how it shapes his everyday life. Let's figure out how exactly we even got to this point. Let's dive right into your newest project, Shadows Road to Dark Angel. What is one pivotal shadow from your life that shaped this road? How does that echo in your tracks?
First of all, that was a very, very great question. What shaped just this whole persona of Dark Angel? I've always felt like I've had this sense of light and hope. I always wanted to give like hope and like some sort of light to people. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like through music, it speaks so many different languages, literally and like physically and verbally. So with Dark Angel persona, I know that the connotation is like, oh, a dark angel must be a fallen angel or a demon, but it's like mine is more so when I'm saying I'm a dark angel, I'm saying it in the sense of, okay, I'm still an angel, I still mean well, I'm still pure at heart, but I still got a little bit of dirt on my wings or a little clip wings or a little chip on my shoulder. You get what I'm saying? But I still want to let people know, like, regardless of how it may sound or how some of the visuals or the videos may look, that I still come from a positive place. And I just want to give people hope.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as you describe yourself as a free spirit, even with that dark angel edge. How do you balance that, the wild freedom with the discipline it takes to make these songs that are like super mysterious, but really catchy, really uplifting? How do you keep that balance of edginess, but still, being true to uplifting people?
Well, two things. One, I try to stay out in nature as much as possible. Now I know with the weather changing, especially because I'm based in Charlotte right now, so it's starting to get a little cold outside, you know what I mean? So I can't spend as much time as I usually do, or I have to kind of pivot outside before it gets cold or it gets dark outside, but mainly just nature. I love going to the library. That is one thing that since I was a kid, that's always been my sanctuary. That's always been my church. That's always been the place that keeps me grounded. No matter what's going on in my life, as long as I go to the library, it will make sense. And that when I tell people that, it's just like, what do you mean you like the library's quiet or this, that, and the third, or I can't do that. I gotta go to the club. And that's cool. Like I don't judge anybody. But for me, I've always been grounded in nature and in the library and that musically, now that I'm starting to really like put out music and be more consistent with writing, the library has just been like an open book for me. No, no pun intended, but like it's that's just my place. Like I go there literally 3 or 4 times a week, whether it's on one side of town or I may go to another location. As long as it's a library and I can find my peace, I'll be there.
Yeah, and so what started that transition to making music? Talk to us about a couple of those first songs that you've ever recorded and how that differs from what we hear now.
Okay, so first off, I wasn't even rapping when I started making music because when I first graduated high school, 2013, 2014, the first thing was my dad was like, "What are you going to do? Because you can't just be in the house and you can't just like
Classic.
just be out in the
Yeah.
street or doing whatever. Like you gotta, you know what I mean? That old school type of mentality." So me and my dad, I'm not gonna lie to you, I can be transparent and honest. We literally got into an argument because it was always like, "This is what you want me to do, but this isn't what I want to do." And when I got my first laptop at 18 and they had this program called Music Maker Jam, like it was just based off of loops or whatever. I I'm telling you, it was almost like that, you know, that movie where it's like the lights are all like
Right.
it was it was it for me. So 18 is when I started like making beats or just simple loops. You know what I mean? Just putting different genres together. Like, okay, I might take a drum loop from hip hop and mix it with a classical violin, or I might take a country guitar and then put it over 808. And it was just those patterns just started like mentally, it just started to connect the dots. And then I think it had to be like the summer of, well, it definitely had to be like towards the fall of 2014. I went to my first recording studio over in South Charlotte. Shout out to Gad 3, by the way. They're amazing people. I went over there and it just looked like a regular business park. So I'm like, there is no way this is a
Oh
studio.
yeah.
Like is not from the outside. I was just like, no, what? And then when I stepped into the doors and saw the control room, when I saw the live room with their like an amazing piano, it was like almost like walking into like a Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory kind of thing. It
Right.
was like, what? Where am I? And how? Where have you been all my life? Like that was the like my honest opinion about it. And then from there, I started to learn about music engineering and what it took to get a song on the radio and or just like the sounds and how to mix, and I was blown away, man. So fast forward to all that, taking all that information in throughout the years. Fast forward to when I turned 21 and I started writing or started trying to freestyle, if you will. And obviously I didn't like it because I was like, this is trash. What am I doing? I don't like my voice. I don't like this. It was always a negative connotation with it until one day I was just like, isn't this what you want to do with the rest of your life? Like,
Right.
is this what you want to do with your life? So regardless, it's not going to sound perfect right now. It's not going to sound like, okay, you know what I mean? I want to sound like Lil Wayne. I want to sound like Jay-Z. Like they even had to get to a point where they became who they were.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne started out with the Hot Boys. He started with braids, and then 4 or 5 years later, we get the Carter 2, and Lord knows when I heard the Carter 3 for the first time, because mind you, I forgot to mention this part. I grew up in church. So from the time I was born to 11 years old, all I knew was Christian and gospel music. I may not be able to tell you my ABCs, but I can tell you a Kirk Franklin song. I can tell you this type of record,
Right.
and it was all gospel. But when I first was introduced to Lil Wayne, which ironically, God rest her soul, it was at my grandmother's funeral, and that's all they were playing, like just Lil Wayne back to back, Chris Brown, this Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne. I'm like, who is this guy? Until the point of where it was just like it was almost like I wouldn't say like hypnotized, but it was almost like I think there's something there with that. So, and that was my introduction to hip hop and R&B and all of that, and from there the world just started growing. And from there to fast forward back to 21, just really just kind of getting heavy with the pen and what I would say life experiences. Like seeing different studio sessions, sitting in with different artists around the city to where it's like, man, like I can really do this. I just really got to stay focused.
Right.
Like that's literally all it took was just me telling myself like you can do this. Now it was a lot of crazy nights, but mainly just it's like if you have a voice that needs to be heard, because a lot of people was telling me too, like it was kind of like I call it the Kanye complex, where you start out making beats and then transition to start writing music or start rapping or making melodies. However, everybody was telling, well, producers do this and this, that, and the third. It's like, no, I don't want to be a producer. I've been making beats for years. I have a voice that needs to be heard, but I want to present the message the right way to where if you hear one of my records, it's like, okay, this guy's got something to say. I gotta tune in to what he's saying, because it's like I may not like his approach, but I definitely can tap into what he's saying. So that was the beginning, and then from there it's just just seeing my peers and just seeing different people like really have fun with it because I didn't want it to feel like a job. I wanted it to feel natural to me. And music is the only thing that feels natural to me.
Yeah.
Like working jobs is cool. And I'm not knocking the 9 to 5. Like I want people, if you have responsibilities, if you have something that you need to take care of, by all means, please do it. But it'll probably, and I can be honest with you, the day that the music really starts to become and flourish the way that I want to, it'll probably bring tears to my eyes because that's really what I want to do. That's how I want to feed my family. That's how I want to build my brand through music. So I'm very excited. I can't even lie to you.
Yeah, we can see that excitement definitely oozes out through the music, and I can see that you're a real student of the game. And so, when it comes to your profile that you've built for this music, the character that you've built, for your brand, it screams the visual poetry through the photos and the videos that you post. And I see that, through this journey, you always kept a camera close by. And so, how does what you capture, on your camera when you're having those moments, when you're taking those photo shoots, does that influence the songs that you're making, or do the songs influence the camera work? Which way is it?
I I would say it's a little bit of both because, well, first off, me getting two phones helped out a lot. Like honestly, yeah, I know we joke about it because the Kevin Gates thing. Literally, me getting a second phone because one, I can play the music from one phone and then take pictures with a selfie stick and set them up. Most of like because honestly, I don't have a photographer right now. I'm an independent artist, so I'm literally doing everything. But it's like, do you want to put your product out into the world? Do you want to wait for somebody else, or I don't have the money right now? And that was, I had honestly, to be on again transparent. I had to leave a lot of people alone, which included family and friends because they were just like, oh, well, okay, man. Like, for instance, with me making beats, right? I made beats for certain artists or some of my homies or whatever. And so when it came to, putting the music out or, making a visual for it, I'm like, hey, man, what do you want to do with the visual? Oh, I don't have the space on my phone. I don't know how to use TikTok. I don't know how to use Instagram. But it's like you'll sit on YouTube all day and watch somebody else do the exact same thing you're doing. So honestly, when I got the and even before I got the second phone, just with my personal phone, I would go out and take pictures. But then when phone number two came in the picture, everything just changed
Yeah.
from the photo qualities to everything because I'm a quality over quantity type of person. You know what I mean? This is my first official project that I've put out to the world. I've recorded projects, several projects before then in 2021 and 2022, but the quality just wasn't there. And I'm the type of person that I want to make sure that if I am putting you onto my music or whatever my brand in general, I want it to have some sort of quality. So yes, the pictures have to be a certain way. The music has to. You don't have to care about what I'm talking about. I just want you to, when you listen to that record, when you put on those earbuds, when you put on those AirPods, when you put on just regular headphones, the quality is clear enough to where you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's very
There are
important.
topics throughout the project to where it's like, I understand completely what he's saying and how he's trying to get his message across. Because I tell a lot of my friends all the time, it's just positive affirmations over 808s and snares. Like I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm telling you my personal journey of what I'm going through right now where you may have a time where it's negatives in your bank account or your account just hit a very low number and you're literally waiting for paid week, but you have to still keep going. Like a lot of my best songs were written when I didn't have a dollar to my name. And mind you, I still have to drop music because I'm an artist. So I still have to find some kind of way to shoot a little clip on Instagram to let people know. And most of my supporters are not people that I grew up with. Like some of the people that I grew up with, obviously they salute me and be like, hey man, I'm so proud of you, this, that, and third. But the majority of the connections that I've built have been from people that don't either look like me or just they're like, you know what, I like what you're doing. I'm gonna get behind it. So it's just like at this point, I feel like I have to make myself. They always used to say this when I was in recording school. You have to make yourself of service. I need to be able to provide a service for you to where you want to come back. That's how we go to our favorite restaurants. That's why we shop with our favorite brands. The same way that a kid would pick up a Jordan's on back to school shopping. They pick it up because they respect the brand. They love Michael Jordan as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. So in order for me to do that, I have to first be confident in the project, but as well, I have to make people believe in what I do because obviously, as an independent artist, I don't have a label behind me. I don't have a manager here, or a publicist over there. I have to feel all of those roles while at the same time still finding a way to put to present my project to the world or present my brand to the world.
Right. I think you've done an amazing job at, especially, getting the two phones. I can see how that would help, the progress of the visuals, and it definitely shows off when I take a look at the page, diving deeper into, the journey and the music. If your music is the soundtrack to what you call your road trip through the shadows, what is one lyric that, really represents that for you?
One lyric.
Yeah, from your
That's
music.
that's a good one right there. So one lyric, I would say "Better Days" remix because I had to tell myself like I believe I'll see better days. And it's some days where it's like it's raining outside, it's cold. I might have to catch two buses to get to a job that completely doesn't value me as a person, but they pay great, so I gotta, you know what I mean?
Right.
And responsibilities, and obviously with having two phones, you still have to make sure that because obviously, and I think we all can relate. Bills don't take days off, even when we do. Bills don't. they don't. They don't care. I'll be like, you know what? You had a rough week. We'll skip this bill. No, you just got to make sure you got the money. You know what I'm saying? To take care of whatever you need.
Right.
So I know that telling myself, okay, we're gonna see better days, or like my mother always tells me, even as a grown man, she's telling me like, do what you can until you can do better. You know what I'm saying? And obviously Ma Duke, she's always gonna support. She like, I don't care if you was a janitor. I'm gonna always, you know what I'm saying, like
Right.
love you. And so those type of moments with mix that with the belief in myself and some of the people around me because I know that, like I said, most people aren't gonna believe in you from the jump, especially if you're not an established artist. But to see like honestly, this project, me dropping this project was liberating for me because I didn't know so many people were going to support me. Like even up until the like when I announced that I was dropping, more than just singles, everybody was just pouring in. I'm proud of you, can't wait, and it's like, man, like I'm. It does kind of make you feel good because it's like, man, like my hard work is paying off, but I don't. I still don't want to be content with that. Like I still want. I feel that there's more to the story, and I still have to still bring more to the table as far as the artist and just elevation and growth. But I did kind of. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did sit with this project, and I was happy with the overall product because I produced everything. I wrote every lyric. I didn't have a ghostwriter. I didn't have somebody, hey man, how would this sound like? And then, shout out to DistroKid, they had a mastering program on there. So as soon as I'm mixing down the bounces, I'm uploading it to DistroKid and they're giving it an extra boost to where it's like, okay, I'm happy with this project because it sounds clear enough. I like music with a lot of bass because, I grew up on hip hop, you know what I mean? And
Right.
even, the gospel music that I grew into, it was a lot of bass and boom, 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 like almost like little subwoofers in my ears. So I like that type of music. You know what I mean? So I tried to make sure that everything sounded clear all the way around the board. Like I have deleted songs and I know as artists sometimes that's rough. But it's like if it does not sound a certain way, I will scratch it, and I'm not the type of person that's going to sit with a song for too long. I'm going to bring it as far as I can, and if it doesn't work out, it works out. But if it does, we're going to the moon. So that's the mindset I try to keep myself in when I'm recording music and obviously dropping music as well.
Yeah, and so when it comes to the people that you've collected while making this authentic music, you've got thousands of followers across these different platforms that are tuned into the world that you created. Can you give us your perspective on being a music creator in today's real world chaos? Is it like a distraction or does it feed the music for you?
Well, the state of the world is literally for me. It's like I just gotta make my mark because it's like the attention spans are so. It's like you got about a good 10 to 15, maybe 20 at best to get these people attention
Yeah,
before they're swiping up and up next TikTok,
right.
next Instagram. So, and I know that NC, this isn't like back in the old days where you had to put it out with a label, they had to pick a single. No, we have social media. We can drop it tonight. If I wanted to record 10 songs and drop them all tonight, I could do that through YouTube. I can do it through SoundCloud. And with that much access to so much music, it's like I have to stick out almost like a sore thumb. I have to force myself to do something to where it's like I don't want to be a gimmick rapper. I don't even really want to even be labeled as a rapper. I want to be known as, like you said, like a visionary, as an artist to where it's like he painted a picture for you from top to bottom, and we completely understood where he was coming from. Even if everybody's intelligence level is not the same, obviously, without saying too much, because I never clown or talk down on anybody, but everybody doesn't, their perceptions, their mental capacity, their nobody's the same, and that's good and bad at the same time. But with me knowing that and knowing how the state of the world is, how chaotic, and it's like you could be here today and gone tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? As far as like life and death and musically. So it's like I have to keep the conversation of am I still do I still want this? Obviously I do want this because I want to build a bigger brand and a bigger fan base. But it's like I want to make sure that when you tune into Tobias Omari, you're never tuned out. Like you want to ride this journey out with me, and you want to see what this book has to offer. You know what I'm saying? Like library terms,
Yeah.
in a sense, because it's like, yeah, we've dropped singles, and I don't mind dropping singles. You know what I mean? But I'm more of like that old school because I grew up listening. I had CD players, I had MP3 players. You know what I'm saying? So, and I forgot to add this as well. I was homeschooled from second to eighth grade. So throughout that entire time, all I was doing was just listening to music. Even when I wasn't working on schoolwork, I would just pop in a gospel CD or maybe like a pop record if my mom allowed it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just, I mean, obviously, you know what I mean? With the strict Christian household, all we had was gospel music.
Yeah.
But we had people like Kirk Franklin. So Kirk Franklin, he wasn't a tradition.
He
He
was
was
getting
getting
down.
scrutinized.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Uh-huh.
Right. I didn't even know that the church folks didn't like that type of music because we would get waking up. Mind you, my dad had these big JVC speakers and stuff like that, so it would literally rattle the house. And we black, so I
Good
stayed in the
times,
hood.
man.
So
Good times.
you know what I mean. So you get what I'm saying. And now looking back on it, that is what shaped Tobias Omari. This is what the image. It's a mixture of everything from the Little Waynes to the Kirk Franklins to so many different artists bottled into one. And obviously, for the record, I'm not really that tall, so I call myself travel size. All in a travel size frame. So it's like, man, this is just, and seeing how everything is coming together, it's an amazing process. It's a long and it took a lot of stressful nights and waking up in the middle of the night and like, man, I can't even sleep because I'm thinking about music, but I don't know how to articulate my words to say what I want to say. And it's like everybody's telling me to just stay a producer, You know what I mean? Stay behind the scenes. And it's like, it's not that I don't, because I'm an introvert. So I stay to myself in general. But it's like, no, man, I really have something I need to say, and I want to be able to articulate it to where the world can understand it. And everybody in the world, I may not be their cup of tea because they may want to go to the club and they might want to party, and that's not the space that I'm in right now. I'm not saying that I won't go out and enjoy myself, but I want you to be able to take away from my music like, okay, he taught me something at the end of the day. He gave me a different perspective on life, and most importantly, he made me feel more confident in myself. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I meant about the positive affirmations over these 808s and snares.
Right. I definitely feel that, when listening to the music. And so in closing, reflecting on, how you got here, what is, the advice that you would give to a young up and coming music creator who's just trying to find their way amongst everything that's going on?
Oh yeah, dude, most importantly, two words, just keep going. Well, that's three, so just keep going. But I just, cause it has not been easy. Like the confident person that you hear on these records was non-existent, mind you. I was in homeschool, so the only type of interactions that I was having with people was at church, and they still didn't like me like that because I wasn't, I didn't have the Nikes, I didn't have the J's, and I wasn't really the best kid growing up. So, my parents are old school. They weren't rewarding me being lazy. You know what I'm saying? But you wouldn't be able to tell that now because of my work ethic and just being in certain rooms now. It's just like, wow, I would have never imagined this as a kid. I'm sitting in on studio sessions where it's just like, man, like people are inviting me because, and they all said the same thing. Like, we enjoy your energy, man. You're cool. I stay out the way. I'm not a type. Hey, man, put me on a song, man. I got 16 for you right now. No, I play my role. Okay. If I'm invited somewhere and I'm invited to a collaboration, depending on the space and depending on the artist, you know what I'm saying? I'll look into it. But even with that, it's like, to get to this point right there, I had like two or three name changes just before I got to Tobias. You know what I mean? Because I honestly, I started out as Casper. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of a play on Casper, the ghost. You know what I mean? But then it was another artist named Casper. And when it was Casper XXI, then I shortened it to Casper X. Then it was another artist named Casper, and then he had an album called X, and I was like, this ain't it, dog. This ain't it. So I had to keep reevaluating myself until I finally got to Tobias, which was still kind of short for Toby, which is Toby Maguire and Spider Man, because I'm a huge Spider Man fan. So like I said, the process was wild, but to get to here now is truly amazing. And I can't. I love it, man. I can't lie to you. Sometimes I'm speechless about it, as of how it's coming together, because I never would envision any of this for me at all. But here we are, man, and I'm just ready to take on the world.
Right, yeah, you do just have to keep going, through it all because it definitely will get better. I think the best of us have had a couple name changes. I've had like three myself. So, like, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you got to reinvent yourself. Sometimes you got to evolve. But I think that, just like you said, continuing on is the most important thing because there's always um, uh, positive at the other side of progression, right? If you just keep learning, if you just keep applying your experiences, if you apply them, then things will get better. So I definitely think that I'm excited to hear, everything that you've told me
Yeah.
today kind of get sprawled out throughout the albums. You know what I mean? Kind of get peel back the layers of who Tobias Omari really is, and I think that everyone who listened today will also be on the same page. I really appreciate you, coming through and sitting down to talk with us. Is there anyone you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Okay, got you. I definitely got to shout out my boy Bambi Zilla, just based off of his music alone, inspiring me to kind of like, because he dropped a project over the summer, and that's kind of what really made me like, you know what, I don't, I think it's ready. I think I'm ready to just go ahead and put out a full project because his music, his aura is just like nothing I've ever witnessed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's almost it's just like talking to one of my ancestors. You know what I'm saying? Like just really great vibes. Always shows love. Never tries to like downsize you or look down upon you. And he's somebody in the city that, man, whether we work together or not, I'm always gonna give him his shout out because he's just a genuine dude, man. And I definitely had to say that name for sure.
So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to sit down and talk with you. I'm going to take a moment to go listen to some more of the music myself because, after hearing all that, I'm just genuinely interested to see, like, let me listen to the lyrics and see if they really reflect, what we've heard today. So I think I'm asking everyone to go listen to the project right now as you finish this video because it's something that I feel like we really need to tap into. Tobias definitely has something to say, and not a lot of people actually have something to say. A lot of these people, they get on the mic and they're just, I don't know what they're doing, honestly. Like, they don't have a real mission statement. But you can see here, Tobias actually has a mission. He has a reason for getting on the mic, for getting behind the keys, for, putting the growth to the experiences that he had as a kid listening to music. So, really, really dope sitting down to talk with you. And thank you so much, Tobias. Until next time, my guy.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you, man.
sir.
Always a pleasure, man.
One
Thank you
love,
for the
one love.
invitation.